We're so grateful that she is here. I am so excited to introduce our next speaker, Senator Elizabeth Warren. In her first term in office, Senator Warren has become a leader in the Senate, and she shows other Democrats how to organize and how to fight. But most importantly, perhaps, when she talks, you know that she knows our struggles. This is what, here at the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, we call the kitchen table issues. We ask a lot, does this politician really get what Americans are worrying about when they sit around their kitchen table late at night? Elizabeth Warren gets it. She knows how ordinary people worry that they will lose their job, lose their health care, lose their kids to drugs. They're being crushed by medical debt, school debt, credit card debt, and most of all by anxiety about an uncertain future. She knows what it's like when you feel the whole system is rigged against you and why you would want to fight back. And she also knows what it's like to love America and to have hope for America and to fight for America. She is fighting. She is fighting for this country every day in the Senate against Donald Trump and against the corporations that control our democracy. We are so lucky to call her an organizer, a fighter, and a friend. Please join me in welcoming the senator from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you. Hello, progressives. Yes. And hello to the 400 candidates that the PCCC has brought together. Fabulous. And a big thank you to Stephanie and to Adam and to everybody who worked so hard to organize this today. This is how we make change. Yes. You know, I want to start with a story, though, this afternoon. And it's a story about how the PCCC has been with me since literally before the beginning. And the story starts on August 1st of 2011. I had just gotten back to Massachusetts. I was not going to be the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's okay, it worked out. But I was going back into teaching, and there were some people were saying, oh, but you should think about running for the Senate. And Stephanie and Adam said, can we come and see you? And I just want to set the stage for you. This is at our house. We have a kind of a big old porch on the back that's enclosed. And I made lemonade. I mean, this is like the great American story, right? So I make lemonade and bring it out for the three of us to sit there and talk about what it means to be a progressive in America in 2011. And we talk about our values, we talk about what we care about. And then it was Stephanie who takes a look at me and she says, I want to make sure that you know a little more about PCCC. I want you to understand who our people are. I want you to know where we get our money from. And she said, the people who contribute to us often contribute $3 because $3 is the most they can afford. In fact, for some of them, $3 is really tough. It's a lot of people who are getting by on their Social Security, and I mean counting it down to the penny. It's a lot of people who are getting by on disability and counting it down to the penny. It's a lot of people who are working minimum wage jobs, and when she said jobs, she meant jobs. 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. It's a lot of people who have to count every nickel they've got. But they put $3 in to the PCCC, and they do it this month, and they do it again next month, and they do it the next month. And they do that because they have hope. Because they have hope that democracy will someday work for them. And she looked at me straight on and she said, they need somebody to go to the United States Senate and fight for them. And that's why I'm in this race. I'm like, I was where all of you are. I had never run for office before. I was a first timer, believe me. I had never done any part of this, hadn't been part of campaigns. But Stephanie and Adam both said something to me that I have never forgotten. They said, if you run and you stay true to your values, that there will be millions of progressives across Massachusetts and across this country who will be with you every step of the way, and it was true. It was true. So, when you think about running, think about it exactly that way. You stay true to your values, you run hard. We'll be in this with you all the way. That's what this is about. Yeah. Yeah, so I am going to tell you, I'm going to tell you one more story. I want to tell you a story about my race. I want to tell you about a story about my race because I want to tell you a story about things that weren't supposed to be. And that is, when people were saying to me, get in the race, they were saying get in the race because, come on, we all know you're going to lose, but that's okay because you'll have another job to go back to. It sounded like as much fun as slamming your hand at a car door. And I kept thinking, and I would do this on purpose. Why? Because do understand this. Back in the summer of 11, when I was looking at this, the Republican incumbent that I was going to have to run against had a 65% approval rate, had $10 million in the bank, and was cuter than I am. Oh, yeah, no. He was a model. But it really was the fact that I had all the folks from PCCC who said, we're going to be with you. We're going to be with you every step of the way. And we built the biggest grassroots operation that had ever been seen before in Massachusetts, and that's how you win. So I get it today. Look, I'm in a room with a lot of people who are thinking about how can I make this happen where I am. And good for you, because every race has its own contours. It has its own local issues. It has its own where you can play these pieces out. And what that means is that people in this room come in here with a lot of different issues that may drive you, a different piece that gets you up in the morning and that keeps you up until late at night. But we have to remember that core underlying value, what it means to be a progressive. And for me, the thing that unites us across geography, across issues, is a willingness to fight for the little guy and to be willing to challenge powerful interests for everything from systemic racism to corporate overreach. That's why we're in these fights every single day. That's what it means to me. And I'll tell you, for me, it really was about those $3 donors. Stephanie hooked me. She made them real to me. And I carried those $3 donors with me every single day of my campaign. I thought about them, and I thought about why I was out there fighting, that they were trying to help me, and that I was out on point and would do my best. And then when I got elected, I carried those $3 donors with me all the way to the United States Senate. And they're with me today. I became a progressive slowly. I did not grow up in a family that was politically active. I grew up out in Oklahoma. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we just say to the Oklahoma teachers, yes! Man, we're watching you. We got your back. Yes. Oh, I got family out on those lines. All right. That's right. That's right. But I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up in very much a paycheck-to-paycheck family. When my three brothers all went off, they joined the military. It's just mom and dad and me. I'm about 12 years old when my daddy has a heart attack. And, it's a really scary time for everybody, but a really scary time for a kid. Turned our family upside down financially. And sure, I remember the parts about visiting him in the hospital. I remember the parts about watching him when he got home and how bad he looked and how long he'd go without talking. But the part I remember was how long we went, no money coming in, and it got tighter and tighter. We lost our family car, the big station wagon that we'd had, and the house was right on the line. And every night my mother would put me to bed. She'd close the door, and then she'd start to cry. I could hear her right outside the door. And she would say, we can't lose this house, we can't lose this house, we can't lose this house. And I remember the day that my mother, I walked into their bedroom and my mother had her best black dress out. Everybody's got the best dress. It was the one she wore to funerals, to weddings, the best black dress. And she's pulling this black dress on it. She's wrestling with the zipper on it. And she's crying. And she's saying, we will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. And finally, she blows her nose, she wipes her face, she puts on her high heels, and she walks to the Sears, and she gets a minimum wage job. And that minimum wage job saved our house, but more importantly, it saved our family. Now, I've thought a lot about that story through the years, and I'll tell you how I used to hear that story. I used to hear that story as a story of pluck and grit, and you do whatever you can to help your family survive. And I still hear it that way. I think about my mother. She never worked outside the home. She was terrified by the idea of having to go out in public and ask for a job and work, but she did it. But I came to understand that story a little differently over time, because my mother got a minimum wage job at a time when a minimum wage job would support a family of 3. Today in America, a minimum wage job will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. So here's how I understand this. Yeah, you bet, grit and determination matters. But policy made in Washington also matters. You write policies for families and it matters. That's why I'm in this fight. You bet. Look, I am a progressive, and I'll tell you why I'm a progressive. I'm a progressive because right now Washington works great. It works fabulously if you're rich and if you're powerful. If you can hire an army of lobbyists, if you can hire an army of lawyers, Washington is the place for you, because you can get the laws you need, you can get the policies you need, you can get Congress to listen to you, you can get these agencies to listen to you. What I want is I want an America where this government in Washington works for the rest of the people. That's what I want. It is so good to be here with all of you. And I want to take this chance of our being together. I think it matters that we come together. There are a lot of things we can do on our own. There are a lot of things we do by writing and that we text, and we do all kinds of other things. But there's something about the power of being together. And I think the thing we can do when we're together is we get a chance to affirm the things that we believe in, the things that we are willing to fight for. So I just want to do a little of that while we're together here. And I want to say, as progressives, we believe that health care is a basic human right, and we will not let anyone rip it away from millions of Americans. And just having come from some hearings this morning, I want to say we believe in accountability for Wall Street and corporations like Wells Fargo and Equifax. And let me just add, and when a CEO breaks the law, they ought to go to jail just like anyone else. Yeah. And we believe that workers have a right to come together, to bargain together, and to build a future together. Unions built America's middle class, and unions will rebuild America's middle class. We believe that no one who works full-time should live in poverty, and that means raising the minimum wage. We believe. And we believe that young people ought to be able to get an education without getting crushed by student loan debt, and that means debt-free college, everyone. And we believe that after a lifetime of hard work, that everyone is entitled to retire with dignity, and that means protecting Social Security and Medicare for everyone. Now, I've got another one I want to do that I recognize is very controversial in some areas, particularly on the floor of the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives. So those of you who are standing up, you may want to kind of like steady yourselves there against each other. Are you ready? We believe in science. Climate change is real, and we have a moral obligation to preserve this earth so that our children can drink the water and breathe the air. Yeah. We believe that gun violence is an epidemic and the time for talk is over. We need significant change, and we need to keep our children safe from gun violence. Yeah. We believe that immigration and diversity make this country strong, and that means stopping the Trump administration's ugly immigration policies and protecting our dreamers and their families. We believe that racism and sexism and homophobia, that hatred and injustice and bigotry have no place in our country. We believe that Black Lives Matter, and we're not afraid to say it out loud. You know, I could do this all day. I really could. That's right. Okay, couple more. Okay, couple more. We believe that everyone should pay a fair share to keep our country running, and that the $1.5 trillion Republican tax giveaway to their donors and to billionaires is nothing more than corruption, plain and simple, and we're willing to call them out for it. You bet. I know there's more, but I got to end with this one. We believe that corporations are not people. We will overturn Citizens United, and we will return this democracy to the people where it belongs. Yes. Yes. We must win this fight. We must win this fight, and that means we leave no one behind. I want a Democratic Party that is strong enough to be in every race, in every county, in every state, in every town, in every district, to be in those races, to be competitive and to win. And I just want to say on this one, I put my money where my mouth is. I made a contribution, a big one, not just to the DNC, not just to the DSCC, and not just to the DCCC. I made a contribution to every single state party so that they can make the grassroots organizations that we need. And I'll tell you exactly why I did that. I did that because I want you to win. That's why I did it, yes. I want you to win because I believe that as progressives, you can show an alternate vision of America. You can show that people with power can actually work for the people. That's why we're here. So, have a great time while you're here. Meet each other, soak it all up, get to know each other, because ultimately, we're a team. No, more than that. We're a family. We're here to help each other because it is our shared vision of what it means to build a country, what it means to build a government that works not just for a thin slice at the top, but that works for all of us. So the way I see this is we got to get out there and we got to fight and we got to win. So I want to know, are you ready to fight? Are you ready to fight? And are you ready to win? Yes! Fabulous! Make it happen! Take care! Make this happen! Thank you! Thank you!
All right. Let's give her another cheer as she gets out the door.